So I played Pikmin 1 for the very first time after having only played 3, and I really liked it. And I couldn't wait to get started with Pikmin 2 right after I beat the first game. So I'm gonna go do that right now. I really hope I enjoy myself. So right after the events of Pikmin 1, Olimar returns to his home planet of Hokotade, and he finds out from the president of his company, Hokotade Freight, that the company is in a ton of debt, largely thanks to another employee named Louie, who lost a big shipment of Pick carrots, but they find out that the bottle cap Olimar brought back for his son is worth quite a lot of money. So he sets off with Louie back to the planet to find more treasure in order to pay off the debt of 10,000 Hokotade coins. I don't know exactly what the currency is. Point is, you both go back to the planet to get some treasure to pay off the debt. A premise almost as simple as the first games, only this time instead of having a time limit of 30 days, you don't really have a time limit at all. You can play this game for as long as you need to pay off that debt. There's still time limits in the day like in the first game, but no longer are you restricted to a day limit per se. I know there's been a debate within the Pikmin community on whether a time limit is good or a time limit is bad. As for me, I don't really care that much. I did think it worked well in Pikmin 1, but in Pikmin 2's case, I understand why they didn't really incorporate a day limit, because there's just a lot of treasure you need to collect in this game. Like, so much treasure, I don't even know how many there are. What's interesting is that Pikmin 2 actually reuses some levels from Pikmin 1. Awakening Wood and Perplexing Pool in particular are based on the Forest of Hope and the Distant Spring. The final map is also a mixture of 2 other maps from 1, but I won't spoil that until we get to the spoiler section. And I didn't mind this reuse of assets because they did some things to really change it up. They added more and different enemies to those levels, and they placed obstacles in areas that didn't have them before. The game also looks quite a bit better than Pikmin 1. Not exactly like a huge upgrade, but you can tell that the textures look more detailed. The game is more vibrant and colorful, so that was really cool to see. Again, it's kind of disappointing that this isn't a full-blown remaster, kind of like how Pikmin 1 wasn't a full-blown remaster, but the games look fine to me anyway, so I don't really care that much. The controls also remain mostly the same, especially now that I realized that I could do a Pikmin swarm movement of sorts by holding L and using the right stick, which I didn't know throughout my entire time playing Pikmin 1, so that was a really handy tool to have. But there's a fatal flaw with this Switch port, and that there are no longer name brand treasures, no Duracell batteries, no 7-Up bottle caps, nothing. Okay, but really, I didn't play this game as a kid, so none of this really affected me. I get there may be a sense of immersion added by using those real-world brands like Duracell to drive home the point that there used to be people on this planet called Earth, but as for me, I just really don't care. And now it's not just Olimar on this mission alone with his Pikmin. Louie has joined the fray, and you can swap between characters, and I'll be honest, I didn't really do it that much here. Like, I could understand why you would, maybe while Olimar is doing something over here with the Pikmin, like staying with them as they bring down a giant gate. Louie can take some Pikmin back to the ship as they're bringing over some treasure and bring them back to him. I get how that theoretically could make the process a bit more easy, but either I was doing it wrong this whole time, or I just didn't find this mechanic that useful. Pikmin 3 frankly did this mechanic a lot better, with the ability to throw your comrades across gaps and directing them to go somewhere with a squad of Pikmin while you do something else. None of these mechanics are in Pikmin 2, and it's definitely noticeable. And things in Pikmin 2 just feel like they take longer in general. I don't know exactly how to explain it, but man, those Pikmin take a long time to bring stuff back to the ship, more so than I remember them doing in 1. And even though there's these new Pikmin, the strong purple Pikmin that can lift the weight of 10 Pikmin, I still felt like they weren't really that efficient. That brings me to another topic. There's some new Pikmin in this game. There's the purple Pikmin like I was just talking about. These are strong boys. They're really good in combat. They have stronger hits. They can also do a ground pound when you throw them to sometimes knock enemies on their back. They're also 10 times as strong as normal Pikmin, so that's really handy. Then there's the white Pikmin, which are poisonous, so if they get eaten by enemies, they'll take off some health, so their sacrifice won't go in vain. They're also poison resistant, so if you see any poisonous gas, they can go in there and destroy the mechanisms that are emitting that gas without getting damaged. And then there are the Bulbmins, which are weird hybrids of Bulborbs and Pikmin. They are resistant to all the elements, but they can only be found in the caves, which I'll get to in a bit. They're really interesting Pikmin, albeit they feel a bit underutilized here. I didn't really have many opportunities to use them during those many sub-level missions, but those two other Pikmin I mentioned before, the purple and the white ones, can also just only be found in caves in general. They're found through purple and white flowers. You throw in a certain amount of Pikmin and out will pop the purple and the white Pikmins respectively, so it makes trying to get them a bit irritating, because if you need more of them at some point, you'll have to find a cave that they're in and have to get them that way. And you know, while we're on the subject of caves, let's talk about them. But I need to preface them by saying when I'm playing Pikmin 2 and I'm on the above ground levels, the game is totally fine. It's the Pikmin I know and love. You're wandering around these levels gathering the treasures that are above ground. It's mostly the way the first Pikmin worked, and I really liked that game, and therefore I really liked it when I stayed on the surface. But man, oh man, when you get to the caves, this is where the game just takes a total nosedive for me. This is where you're going to play most of the game. You're going to be taken down into these caves. They're smaller little levels where you have to gather the treasure within them. You can even exchange the enemy corpses for change, which means you can't spawn more Pikmin if you wanted to, because the onions don't go down there with you. So if you lose the Pikmin, you lose them for the rest of the cave. And the little levels are broken off into sub-levels, I should say. So when you beat one level, you'll go down a hole to the next sub-level and the sub-level after that. And there doesn't ever seem to be a clear indication of how many sub-levels there are per cave. All I know is that when I'm getting tired of a cave and I have to keep going down sub-levels and I don't see that notification saying this is the final sub-level, I just get really irritated. There's just a lot about these caves that I don't like. And part of it is just like losing the Pikmin for good for the rest of the cave. You can't really spawn more unless you come across these flowers that replace one Pikmin with 10 of a specific type. The color changes as time goes on. And let me tell you, I wish I knew that as I played the game, because there was no clear indication that that's what that flower would do. I thought it would just work like the flowers that would swap the colors of a Pikmin. The amount would just remain the same. I didn't know that it would actually increase the amount of Pikmin that you had. Even if I knew that though, I would still not like these levels. There was something about them that felt sloppy and certainly un-Nintendo-like of them. And then I found out from a friend on Twitter that they were randomly generated. Oh, that makes sense. That explains why the level design just is complete nonsense a lot of the time. There's like corridors that lead to literally nothing. There's blockades that when you bring them down, they lead to also literally nothing. Sometimes the game will throw you a bone and drop some nectar to strengthen your Pikmin. Sometimes it'll throw you a bad bone and drop a bomb. But these levels being randomly generated are very un-Nintendo-like. We know Nintendo for their immaculate level design in most of their games, and these levels are just not that. I've noticed that when I've had to return to caves or like even just straight up restart the caves, the level layout remains the same, but the enemy placements and sometimes enemy types have changed. And I guess it's a really cool idea that's sort of ahead of its time when this game came out in 2004, but that's not why I play Nintendo games. And as it is, this just didn't feel very fun for me. Having to go down each sub-level, keep losing Pikmin and just being stuck with a small amount of Pikmin. I'm surprised I even made it out of some of those sub-levels because I had a ridiculously small amount of Pikmin. You can escape the levels at any time, but that would mean losing all the treasure you've collected. And thankfully there are some points where you're able to eject yourself from the cave through a geyser, which is how you leave the caves at the end of them to begin with. So if you want to leave with your treasure that way, just hope that you come across one and really think about if you want to keep continuing down that cave. I also don't like the caves because they just look bland. They don't look great. Like there's some caves that look bright, certainly, but that's it. They just look like brighter caves with some, I guess, toys in there. That's cool, I guess, but that doesn't change the fact that they're still just bland, both in terms of level design and visual fidelity. So while Pikmin 2 may look great above ground, not so great below ground. Pikmin 4 does bring back these sub-levels, but the thing is though, they're not randomly generated. They actually have really cool designs in them, at least from what I've played of the demo. And that's just it. They're designed with human hands, and that's what we love Nintendo for, right? They're human game designers. I had a ton more fun in Pikmin 4's sub-levels than I ever did in Pikmin 2's, and man, they take up so much of the game. They're so Ugh. This game took me a lot longer to beat than Pikmin 1, about twice as long at 14 hours. But if you want to know how many days it took me from when I started to the end, it was like maybe 2 weeks, even though I beat Pikmin 1 in like less than a week. And that's because when I got the free time to play a game and then I saw Pikmin 2 staring at me from my Switch, I just said, not today. I just didn't want to spend my free time playing this game that I didn't particularly enjoy. But the frustration really set in once I reached the end game, and this is where I'm going to add a spoiler tag. If you want to avoid spoilers, skip ahead to this time code right here. But now, let's get down to what happens at the end. The end credits roll when you collect all 10,000 of the currency. So Olimar and Louie leave the planet, or rather just Olimar because Louie gets left behind. Oops! So Olimar returns to the planet, but with the help of the president, who now acts as a Louie replacement in this regard. There's nothing that really changes about him, except his whistle doesn't sound like a whistle, it sounds like a car horn, which I just love. And that's where you go to the final level to find Louie, and I found out that Louie was in this cave called the Den of Dreams. This cave, man. This cave broke me. Let me show you some of my gameplay from it, because it was absolutely frustrating. Kill them, kill them. No! Unbelievable. You're kidding me. Just threw all my Pikmin off the edge. Hate this level. Oh, perfect. We're both in here. Great job, game. Thank you so much. Why do they always pick these two up? Get away from that, get away from that, get away, get away. And lost 3 of them, whatever. Why are these dudes right next to each other? This is so irritating. Oh, yay, treasure, I guess. Don't care. You know what the real treasure would be? Beating this game so I can play things I actually enjoy. Thank God. And look at that. Spider Mastermind from Doom. I don't know. Oh, really? Really, it's like that. Stupid. And that was all when I was doing the cave the second time. I'm actually surprised it only took me 2 tries to find Louie, and that's because of 2 reasons. One, I found out that the game saves after you complete every sub-level, so I just thought, okay, if I lose too many Pikmin in this sub-level, I'll just restart the game. It's not what the game designers intended, but maybe they should have added checkpoints to save me the headache. And I skipped through a lot of the sub-levels going past all the enemies, because at that point, I just wanted to find Louie. All I wanted to do was find Louie. I didn't care about anything else. I wanted to find that boy so I could beat the game. Beat the game, quote unquote. I fought that boss that captured Louie with just enough Pikmin. Took a long time, but I was able to do it, baby. And then I got Louie, and I said, I'm done. I am done. I found Louie. No way am I going to try to get the perfect ending, which requires collecting all the treasure in the game, because I do not want to go through every single cave in the game and just break my brain. So, here's the thing. Pikmin 2 is not a bad game. There's quite a few people that enjoy Pikmin 2, and I don't blame them, especially if they really love challenge, because man, those caves are especially challenging, albeit sometimes to just an unfair extent. And while Pikmin 2 does have elements of what I loved about Pikmin 1, it just is over encumbered with these cave systems that are filled with randomly generated levels that feel very un-Nintendo-like. My favorite parts of Pikmin 1 were the problem solving, figuring out how to get every part under a set time limit. And Pikmin 2 removes the time limit, and I know Pikmin 3 and 4 don't have time limits either, but those games are more fun because the element of puzzle solving is still there. How do we get these parts? How do we get these fruits to the ship utilizing our specific Pikmin types? Pikmin 2 largely doesn't feel like that. It feels like a dungeon crawler, which is definitely the kind of style it was going for, but to me it just didn't work. I didn't really have fun going through these caves, hoping I didn't lose too many Pikmin by the end of them so I could get the treasures or even the gear that are located at the end of the caves, because you could be rewarded with gear that made Olimar and Louie immune to poison, more resistant to attacks, you know, stuff like that. But back to my original point, it's just that the caves in Pikmin 2 really brought down the entire experience for me. It'd be one thing if they were small side objectives, but these aren't side objectives at all. They take up most of the gameplay experience, and as a result, I didn't like the game. I really have no desire to go back to Pikmin 2. It was just an overall frustrating experience for me, and I understand that there are people who do like this game, although I do also understand that it's a very mixed game to some people. It might not be the worst Pikmin game. I've heard bad things about Hey Pikmin. I'm not ever gonna play it, but I can tell you for sure that Pikmin 2 is now my least favorite Pikmin game. We'll see how Pikmin 4 holds up in that regard, but given that I put hours into that demo already, I still think that game's gonna at least come out way above Pikmin 2. But yeah, in the end, if you're looking to play the Pikmin games before 4 comes out very soon here, you should probably still give Pikmin 2 a shot if you beat Pikmin 1. There's some good things in there. I do think the enemy variety is way stronger here. There's a lot more diverse enemies, such as flying jellyfish and some really menacing bosses. I don't know the names of them off the top of my head. All I know is that they're big and they're ugly. But definitely give the game a shot, and if you're not feeling it after about an hour or two, you don't have to finish it. You really don't. I technically didn't even finish it 100%. I just got to the credits and I rescued Louie, and I considered myself done. I'm done with Pikmin 2. But let me know your thoughts on Pikmin 2 in the comments below. Do you love it? Do you hate it? And tell me why. I would love to hear your thoughts. And until next time, everyone, bye-bye.